Hello everyone, Chuckles here, and I am participating in the 2023 Asian Readathon, despite not starting it until 2 weeks in again. This time, though, I have a book-related excuse. I would have started immediately in the month of May if I hadn't been reading through the entire original Grishaverse series before watching Season 2 of Shadow and Bone. You're going to get videos all about that, but that's what I was doing. As May started, I tried to finish it beforehand, but no success. I think I'll be able to still get through this, however. Hopefully, this book that I'm about to read will count towards all the prompts. Once again, Cindy Pham has organized this readathon, and I should have looked up the prompts before to remind myself. If you're seeing this video without having seen the previous videos last year, Cindy Pham, i.e. Read with Cindy, organizes a readathon every year focusing on Asian authors and Asian books about Asian culture, etc., as a way of promoting diverse reading and focusing on the promotion of Asian art. Every readathon is organized through the story graph, where you can track your progress in reading and put all the books so you can see the catalog of books that there are on there, and add your own books to it, and see what everyone else is doing, etc. And every year there are prompts, reading challenges that help you hone in on certain things as you're looking for authors and books to read. You are encouraged to read books from multiple ethnicities, so if you read one book that satisfies one or two of the prompts, that is from a Taiwanese author, then the next book that you read that satisfies these other prompts should be from a Filipino author, etc. Last year's prompts were inspired by the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, which is an amazing film. This year's prompts are inspired by Joyride, which I have no interest in seeing. As Cindy herself says in the video where she introduces this readathon, it's cool to see the typical raunchy road trip comedy that you would usually see populated with frat bros, this time populated with Asian women. Still not interested in seeing it, but I do respect it. I do respect that it exists. Now, the prompts that are inspired by that movie are as follows. Well, first of all, it's the same prompt for all of them. Read a book written by an Asian author. Next is, read a book featuring a friendship between at least two Asian characters. After that, it's read a book written by an Asian author and/or featuring an Asian character that is focused on identity and self-discovery. Read a book by an Asian author and/or featuring an Asian character that shows them going on an adventure. And finally, featuring an Asian character who is either a hot mess, famous, or eccentric. So those seem like pretty easy, like even easier prompts to satisfy than last year, which is why I'm fairly confident, even though I know basically nothing about the book that I chose, it should satisfy, if not all of them, most of them. And I'm saying that because unlike last year where I was able to read 3 books, even though only 2, I was counting 2 of them because 2 of them were by the same author, so it's like only one of those counts because you gotta pick a different author every time. So 2 out of the 3 were actually counted, but really, one of them satisfied all the prompts. Frangipani Hotel and Build Your House Around My Body, written by Violet Coopersmith, which I only counted Build Your House Around My Body as for the readathon because both of them were from the same author. But fortunately, both of them satisfied pretty much all the prompts, so hey. And then, still, I wanted to read Iron Widow, so I did, and I made a video for it, and then I was just not satisfied with that video for Iron Widow. I felt like I rambled a lot in the Iron Widow video, and I was trying to cut down what I was saying and add some things to it that would make it better. I was just not really satisfied with it, and it ended up taking way too long, and I ended up not releasing it. But looking at it, I've regretted not releasing that video, because even if I go off topic, and even if some of the things I say are not in keeping with what a book review is supposed to be, even if it is overly long, it's still a review that I put a lot of thought into when I was recording it for a book that I think is worthy of reviewing and I think people should read. So even though it's extremely late now and has nothing to do with this readathon, I'm going to release the review that I did of Iron Widow for the 2022 Asian Readathon. That's what you're going to see after this video. Because really, I should have just released it and allowed whatever audience sees it to be the judge of whether or not this is a good review and whether it's worthy of being included in the Asian Readathon. So next video after this, Iron Widow Readathon review. Let me know what you think about it and whether you think I'm being too hard on myself or whether it's like, yeah, you could stand to do better next time. But as for this readathon, last time I was introduced to Cooper Smith via NPR, and as I explained in that previous video, it was I wanted to read Frangipani Hotel, then discovered that she was coming out with another book, and coincided with the readathon. I was like, oh, that's perfect. And then also coinciding with the readathon was me going, this is finally my chance to stop procrastinating and read Iron Widow. So it kind of was already planned. This time I had no idea whatsoever. So I thought about going to Goodreads, where all the list of books are, but then I went, you know what? I'm going to try something and see what happens. I'm going to go to Audible, since that's where, now that I have a phone that can handle, I've explained this before, well, I don't know if you'll, yeah, this will probably be the first time you hear it, because I'm going to put this video out first. So, I work at UPS, and in the area where I work, where people are loading boxes and doing all kinds of things, people have headphones on. People listen to music, people listen to podcasts, what have you. And I noticed that my phone wasn't good enough for that. I'd had that phone for 15 years and it was very old and it couldn't handle a whole lot. Recently got a new phone, and this phone can handle a whole lot of information, it has a lot of memory, and now it can do the whole podcast audiobook thing. So I was like, okay, now I can start listening to audiobooks at work, meaning I can read a lot more than I ever have before. So that's how I got through the Grishaverse, the Shadow and Bone trilogy and the Six of Crows duology before seeing season 2 of the show, by every day going to work, putting in my headphones, plugging them into the phone, putting the phone in my pocket, and listening to audiobooks while I work. So when I listen to Build Your House Around My Body, I listen to it from my laptop. Audible from my laptop speakers. That's how I listen to that entire book. This time, I'm going to listen to the book that I've chose via my phone while I'm at work. And so, because of all this, I decided, you know what, I'm going to try something. I'm going to go to Audible, I'm going to click the search bar, and I'm just going to type in Asian and see what pops up. There were several interesting choices that I saw, including The Joy Luck Club, which I didn't know was a book. I know a lot of you are like, wait, you didn't know? No, I didn't know. I've never seen The Joy Luck Club. I know of it. I know that when people were, when Crazy Rich Asians were coming out, people were like, oh, finally there's another one, because there are only 2 Asian movies ever, The Joy Luck Club and this one, which is not true. But I'll get into that when I talk about, well, you'll see, something related to that. But in any case, I knew of that. That is like, oh, look at this big deal. It's a big deal, because it was a big deal. Like an Asian movie with all Asian cast. Look at how Asian it is in Hollywood. Oh, look at Hollywood being all Asian. Isn't that cool, Hollywood? Hollywood's cool with the Asians. But I know nothing about that movie, other than the fact that Wen Ming-na is in it, which... So I thought perhaps that would be the one I chose until I called my mother. It was a Mother's Day phone call, and we were chatting, and we were talking about this and that, and we got on the subject of books. And I told her about the readathon. She had seen the videos last year, and I was like, I'm doing the Asian Readathon again this year. And she said, oh, you know, there's a book in our house called Pachinko. Perhaps that would be something that you should read. And I checked it out, and sure enough, it was on Audible. Pachinko by Min Jin Lee. And we talked briefly about it, but since I've never read it before, she didn't say a whole lot about it, and I've subsequently forgot everything that we said about it. Because we talked about a lot, and we talked about a lot of different books, so I've forgotten the few small things that she said about Pachinko. So I have absolutely no idea what this book is about. It looks like the author is Korean, but the title references a Japanese game, and it's narrated by a Japanese woman, so I'm interested in seeing what this is. Again, since I've forgotten the few things that my mom said about it, I'm just going to go into it completely cold. It's a very, very long book, so it's going to be the only one I read. It's almost 20 hours long, so even reading it every day at work, it's going to take a while. And there's only 2 weeks left in the readathon, so I'm going to read this book, and hopefully it will count for all of the prompts. We'll see. Whether or not it does, I will be trying my very hardest to get a video about it out at the end of the month. Again, to start off, you're going to be seeing the last year's video that I'm finally releasing for Iron Widow, but after that, it will be Pachinko. So here we go with my late videos for the 2023 Asian Readathon.